All right. Hello, movie friends, and welcome to There Will Be Movie Reviews. I am your host, Ryan Holmes. And today with me, I have a buddy of mine actually from school for the first time. This is Ryan, another Ryan. So this will be fun for two Ryans in this podcast. Ryan, how's it going?
Not bad. Yourself?
Not too bad at all. Yeah, I'm excited to be talking about a very, very good movie. I know you're a big fan of. Why don't you tell us what movie we're going to be talking about today?
Today, probably one of my favorites that I've watched since I began loving movies, which is Goodfellas, Martin
Yeah,
Scorsese's masterpiece,
it
made in
is.
1990.
Would you say it's Scorsese's best film, you think?
It's close. It's
Yeah,
close. It's definitely up there. I gotta put Wolf of Wall Street's another personal
yeah,
favorite of mine that he's made. Taxi Driver is just also incredible. Raging Bull, like
yep.
his longevity is just
No,
incredible. Yeah,
absolutely. He just keeps putting out awesome movies. Like Wolf
yeah,
of Wall Street was like 2013 or something like that, and it's like I don't know, like all of his movies just they don't age. Like they don't age and they don't look bad at
yeah.
all. But yeah, no, totally. Yeah, so it's exciting that you're here to be talking about Goodfellas. We're just gonna get into it real quick, actually. We'll start talking about it. So my question to you is I'll start it off. Why do you like Goodfellas so much? What draws you to it? What makes you watch it on repeat like I do? You know?
Well, there's just so much to unpack because
Yeah,
even though it's it's not like a long movie, like really long, but it's like decent, like 2 hours, 2.5 hours is, you
yeah,
know, decent amount of time, but there's just so much to unpack in it. They just like you'd think that a longer movie would have like a lot of stuff to unpack, but like this one's a little bit shorter, than say
yeah.
like The Godfather, for example, like
Or is
where
it?
you just
Yeah,
got so much, it's just so fast paced with so much information to unpack and like so many little scenes and characters that you
absolutely.
get to
Yeah,
learn about. Um,
yeah,
yeah, like personally, I when I first watched it, I was obsessed with it. Like
yeah,
I couldn't stop. Like the next day, I couldn't stop thinking about the movie because like it was literally the first movie I was obsessed with. Like I
yeah,
could literally watch the movie 1,000 times and never get over it.
yeah.
Because like every single time I watch it, I just learn something new about it, or like
Absolutely.
pick out little things that Scorsese does that just blows my mind. Like as a film, seeing it through a filmmaker's perspective is also really good because he just goes all out with the little techniques of
Yeah,
filmmaking, and it's amazing.
yeah,
You can also literally jump in at any time too while you
yeah.
watch it. Like if, for example, if you're on like cable, like if you go on cable and you go into AMC or something, Goodfellas is on, and it's like you start off at when let's say for example you're at the Billy Bat scene where they go into the bar. Like I could be there. Take my hour and a half of my next hour and a half, and I'm just there watching it. Like I could
That's
just
yeah. No, that's very
it's
true.
just yeah.
It's a good movie. Well, yeah, I remember when I first saw it. I think it was my parents introduced me to it because they're big movie fans too, obviously. And I remember it was on, yeah, it was on like AMC or something or Showcase or
Mhm.
one of those cable channels. And it's just like, oh, just watch this movie. And at the time, I was pretty young, so I didn't fully understand it, I guess. And maybe it was more of
Yeah.
like yeah. There's a lot of talking, obviously. It's a lot of fast paced dialogue that you have to keep up with at times. But
Hmm.
like his other movies, like The Departed, it's kind of a similar way. It's just like I almost didn't even care about what was going on and what how the plot flowed because there almost isn't really a plot to this movie. It's more about the characters. They're character-based films. And I
Yeah.
think what was interesting is like I still was so obsessed with it. I still thought it was so interesting just because of the way Scorsese directed the film, the art
Yeah.
direction, the acting, the scenes that didn't involve really like discussing mafia like deals and stuff like that. Just the
Yeah.
scenes where they're hanging out. I thought
Yeah.
that was so much fun. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I just want to introduce the film real quick to the viewers who may not know it. But so Goodfellas, written and directed by Martin Scorsese, stars Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, Lorraine Bracco, and Paul Sorvino. It's a story of Henry Hill and his life in the mob, covering his relationship with his wife, Karen Hill, and his mob partners, Jimmy Conway and Tommy DeVito in the Italian American crime syndicate. It is a lot more than that though too. That's just a brief IMDb plot description, but there is a lot more that goes into this movie that we'll get into in a little second. But I think where we start off, I think we should talk about the three main characters in this film. They are the
Hmm.
driving force of this movie, I
Yeah.
feel. That Henry Hill, Tommy DeVito, and Jimmy Conway. And obviously the best characters in the movie. And if we start off by Henry Hill, I think his most important role in this film is narrating this entire story. Would you
Yeah.
agree? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, the narration particularly, I was going to touch up on that. Like the narration is just incredible.
Yeah.
Cuz like I'm not the biggest fan of a narrator in a film. Like there's only
Okay.
some films that have pulled it off in my opinion, this being one of them. And I also liked that even though I'm not the biggest fan of narration, I like the switching between
Yeah. Yeah.
Henry and Karen.
Yeah.
And because like usually when you watch a movie with narration, it's just the one person, right?
Hmm.
So it's also good to like have a different perspective on what the
Exactly.
another
Yeah.
character's thinking, right? Especially being Karen, who's Henry's wife, right?
Yeah. And
So
yeah.
it's something we rarely see, right? So in movies with a narrator, it worked well, obviously, because like in particular times, so like when they have their wedding, it switches
Mhm.
back to Karen, how she's like seeing all the family members and like being
Mhm.
introduced into this family of power and like how like they give her the envelopes of money and then she's like oh we have to worry about the bag of the money and then he's like no one's gonna steal that here.
Yeah. No,
It's just
yeah,
it's
it's
so
cool.
good, man.
It's a
Yeah.
little details too that make
Yeah.
the movie better. But yeah, Henry Hill's a really interesting character too because he's
Yes.
again he slowly is morphed into a extremely like just unlikable character. Maybe you still like him by the end of the film. Like I don't think I didn't, but you know that he isn't a good person. At least you can maybe still
No.
like him, but you know that he isn't a great guy because at the
No.
beginning of the film they're all treated like kings. They live the good life. It's a life that it's almost an addiction. This life that they
Hmm.
have, and that's what kind of Henry falls into. He falls into this addiction
Yep.
on not only with the drugs but with his life as a gangster and this life as a mob. He's constantly leaving his wife, like coming home at like 6 in the morning, what it looked like in that
Hmm.
one scene,
Hmm.
because he just loves hanging out and like going to the bars, being the last person there, and being like just feeling like that power, I guess, that
Yeah.
comes when you're in the mob. And he sees
Yeah.
that at the beginning of the film. And I think that's really interesting because he's kind of a prime example of how you get sucked into this, I guess, how you
Yeah.
get sucked into that mob. And
Yeah, like I wanted to touch up on is like usually mafia movies, like I've noticed in the past, like Godfather, for example, like that's about the crime, like I say like the boss, right? Because the main
yeah,
character is Marlon Brando, Don Vito Corleone. He's the Don, right? He's the boss of the family. But
hmm,
this movie, I felt like it's just about Henry, who's just a normal guy. Like he's not actually part of the family, right? He's
yeah,
just a normal guy, not even the second in command. That's like like
no,
not even
yeah,
not even Jim not even Jimmy Conway, who's like one of the other main characters. He's not even part of the family because he's half Irish, right?
yeah, no,
So
exactly,
he it's just a normal guy who like got involved in this life and has immersed himself and brought others in with him, like his own family, and it's
yeah,
just like it's not about the main like the boss or like the son of the boss or something. It's
yeah,
about
yeah,
it's just about a normal guy who got sucked in when he was a kid and just had to live the life or else there wouldn't be he wouldn't be in this situation,
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't want to be a nobody, a schmuck, as he says, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah.
And what's cool, yeah, I find that cool because like even at the level that he has, like in the mob and in like the yeah in the family, I forget the I think it's like it's the I forget the name of the family. I looked it up, but I forget. But it was he's like even at the low level, he's still treated and gets the all the perks of being in have those relations with the people because he does
Yeah.
all the helps them out with the deals and gives them tips like tip offs like if something's going down somewhere like with the
Mhm.
airport where they steal the money from JFK airport and but yeah and so it's he's a very interesting character. I think Ray Liotta did a very good job,
Oh,
obviously,
oh yeah.
at leading like because he's the lead, he's the main
Yeah.
character, driving force. And he does a good at carrying that weight. I think
Yeah. Ray Liotta is I haven't seen much of Ray Liotta because maybe because
he
he's
doesn't
just
do a lot.
he
Yeah,
no, he wasn't a after this movie, didn't really become a big actor, I don't think. He did a couple movies. I can't really
yeah.
pick out like when he was before this. I can't really remember what he did before this.
Uh, Before
But
he did, yeah, he did a couple. He did like
yeah.
a Field of Dreams. He's in.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
the other movie I remember him mostly because I think he's had a lot of side
supporting
like
roles.
character,
Yeah,
yeah, supporting roles, yeah. But yeah, but he's incredible in this. Like he's obviously he has to be because he's the
yeah,
main character, right? It's all centered around him. So he has to be the driving force to,
yeah,
you know, influence all these other characters to just meet on his level, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
I also wanted to touch up on this. I don't know if you were going to bring this up, but the Oscars, man. Did you hear? Do you know about the 1991 Oscars after this? About the who who got nominated, who didn't win?
well,
I don't know if I don't know if you looked into this,
I
but
know Joe Pesci won for
yeah,
best supporting
yeah.
actor.
There's a lot that he deserved, but there's a lot of other things that were wrong with
Let's
the
hear it. Yeah.
Oscars. So obviously, he got nominated for a lot. He got 6 nominations:
Okay.
Best Picture, Best Director. Didn't no one thing I want to touch up on. No Ray Liotta nomination.
Yeah.
No Robert De Niro nomination. No Paul Sorvino nomination.
Weird. These are
Yep.
like some of the best performances like
Yep,
you
exactly.
look back on. Yeah. Like Ray
And
Liotta, he's
and
infamous. Yeah.
have you seen the other movie that competed with it? Have you seen Dances with Wolves?
I have seen Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. In your opinion, do you think that's better than Goodfellas?
No, I don't think it's better.
Yeah.
I won't watch Dances with Wolves like 5 times in a year or something like
No.
that. No.
No.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
so
think no.
that won over Goodfellas. Kevin Costner won Best Director, and they won Best Picture for that too.
Wow.
So just take yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably
Kevin
one of
that
the biggest travesties in Oscar
yeah, I
history.
mean, it Dances with Wolves is like perfect Oscar bait though. It's completely like
Yes.
it's totally like a 3 hour long like historical film about
Yep.
like during the war. It's totally just Oscar bait. So I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. And like they want it to be kind of controversial because Kevin Costner, he's an actor. Oh my gosh,
Yep. He's a
let's make
director
him
now? Oh no way.
yeah,
No, yeah,
I know
let's
it's
do this
like
now.
ridiculous. It's like on his first time ever as an actor or as a director, he gets an
Yeah.
Oscar, even though Scorsese's been doing this for like 20 years by then. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to touch up on then Tommy DeVito
Yes.
character played by Joe
Yes.
Pesci, who is a wild and crazy, so entertaining character. I wanted to say this. I don't know if you agree. It's kind of weird. For some reason, when I watched it last night, Tommy DeVito reminded me of Hezbollah. Like,
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, he is that
not
kind of
really, but
wild,
just like
just
always like punching people and just wanting to
yeah,
beat
yeah.
people up and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
super tiny and like got little man
Yeah.
syndrome. Like
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
Little man syndrome. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he's definitely another driving force in this film. Whenever he's in a scene, it's just he's there. Like his presence
Mhm.
is definitely being felt.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites in is the you am I funny to you, like that scene in
Mhm.
the bamboo lounge, and they're all sitting around at the table and he's telling stories, and then Ray
Yeah.
Liotta just comes in, you're a funny guy, and then he just goes off on him.
funny? How the fuck am
Yeah,
I
yeah,
funny? Yeah,
yeah. What the
yeah,
fuck is so funny about me? Yeah,
yeah.
so it's like and one thing I learned about that scene, I kind of did a little research. What Scorsese did was that he made Liotta and Pesci's character only know about that scene. So everyone else in the scene, they didn't know what was going to happen,
Mm,
which was a really smart thing to do because you can tell after like I didn't like know about this until yesterday, but like I watched that scene again just to like look at all the some of the different reactions of the other guys, like the guy sitting around Leota like behind him and
yeah.
stuff. Like there's like their reactions are like they're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like they're just like they didn't expect this at all. And then when obviously like Pesci like turns on him, it's just like everyone starts laughing, like everyone starts dying laughing.
Yeah, I
Like they
know.
did like
Get the fuck
Scorsese
out of
did like those.
here.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They did a really good Scorsese made some really good decision making with the
yeah.
film and trying to get the best reactions out of his actors.
No, well, because all these characters are based on real people. Like Tommy
Hmm.
DeVito, it was Tommy DeSimone or something like that. The same,
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce, but he was a real guy. And Henry
Hmm.
Hill actually said, the real Henry Hill said that uh his representation was like 90 to 99% accurate. The only flaw
Wow.
was that he is Joe Pesci is too small. Tommy DeSimone
Right.
was like a giant buff guy, like a scary
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
what's so cool is that Joe Pesci is able to convey that like
Yep.
whole giant persona of a big man. When you see him, you don't want to mess around with him. You don't want to give him the wrong idea. You don't want to be rude to him. And it's
No.
funny how he's like, whenever Joe Pesci's around, like say Henry or Jimmy, he does have a lot of respect for them, which I
Yeah.
find, and his mom too, which is I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
relationship is it
Yeah.
finally gives a little bit of like sanity to him. He's like, okay,
Yes.
he's a normal guy when he's around his mom, and when he's with like Jimmy
Yeah.
and Henry, he's a normal guy. But like this, there's just so many good scenes. Like I think of Spider when
Yes.
he kills Spider. Oh my God! Like it's not really the focus of the scene, but like Jimmy's like, "Hey, I like this guy now. Look at him. He's standing
What's
up
the
for
world
himself.
coming to?
What's the
Yeah.
yeah?" And then you just see, oh my God, like Tommy's face is just like he wants to murder him. Like he's
Yeah. Yeah.
so mad. If you
Yeah.
watch it again, I was dying laughing because like
Yeah.
he is so pissed off. Like he's
Yeah.
completely silent, and I think that's just another like you feel his craziness. You like, I don't want to be around him. Like
No.
you kind of meet people in your life that are from a very lower level than
Hmm.
Tommy is, but like, and you just know you don't want to be around them when they're drinking, when they're like in a
No.
party mood, and yeah, it's yeah, it's those are scary people, and they're real people too. So
Yeah.
it's a great character. Joe Pesci definitely deserved that Oscar.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I wanted to like touch up on that point you made. How about how in real life he was a big guy. Like
yeah,
Pesci's just um his like demeanor just makes him that like even though he's a smaller guy, that demeanor of him and like the way he acts around others is just makes him that
yeah.
big that big broad, human being
Presence,
that
yeah,
he actually is. Yeah, that his presence is just unmatched in this movie. Him and
yeah,
Henry Hill, I feel, are the two driving forces that just keep the movie going and going.
yeah.
It's
No,
yeah, like they're just his performance is amazing. I also find funny is that Joe Pesci made this and Home Alone in the same year. That yeah, which is awesome because he's very good in that too. Like
yeah. Of course he is. Yeah,
he's a good
he's a good actor. Yeah,
comic. He can do everything, man. Like he can do.
yeah.
Have you seen what's it called? My Cousin Vinny.
I have not seen My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, that
Is he
yeah,
good in
that
that? Yeah,
he's very good in that. I won't go
interesting.
into details about that movie, but since
Yeah,
we're sticking with the Goodfellas, but
yeah.
yeah, if you have time, go take a look at that one.
All right. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
And then the last character I want to touch up on is Robert De Niro's Jimmy
yeah,
Conway in this. He's also, I think this is one of De Niro's most underrated roles. Like
yep,
when they talk about Goodfellas, usually people talk about Joe Pesci in that film, and they'll talk about Henry Hill, the main character, and they just think Robert De Niro's kind of playing the same role he's played before, this mob guy, which he
Hmm.
hasn't though. The only time he's played a similar role, I think, as Tommy or as Jimmy is maybe Casino, but those roles are pretty different. Like I
Hmm.
guess they're both in the mob, and but I can't think like people say like all he does is play like mobsters. Maybe I don't.
He was Don Vito in Godfather Part
I
2.
know, but that's another different. He's like completely silent and like that.
He
Yeah,
is a different, he does definitely has a different character archetype to him in
yeah,
that one.
and as like it's not when he's also playing him when he's not like in the. I mean, he's slowly part of the mob, but he's not. It's just him as like a kid growing up and like becoming a part of this as he becomes like what is he? Is it forget what he does, but he becomes like a olive oil salesman person or something like, or he owns like a restaurant or
Who
something.
Don who
Done, yeah, in this in Godfather Part Two. What does
oh
he own?
yes, yeah, he's part of the oil business, yeah.
Yes, oil
It's
business,
called
exactly.
Genco oil, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
olive oil, yeah,
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 exactly. And then yeah, so like they're completely different characters. So that was like the problem I had when like people criticize him and I see like, De Niro's playing the same role. All he does is play the same roles.
yeah. Hmm.
And I just think that's ridiculous. And I think in this
No.
film, he's even better. My like best scene is when he finds out that Tommy has died and he's like pushes over the phone. So much emotion, fluctuation. He's
Yeah,
like mad and then he's crying and then
yeah,
he's like, oh, I want some revenge. Like, yeah,
yeah.
he's a great actor, so it's
Yeah,
obvious.
he pulls off that half cry. He's
I
like,
know.
he pulls that off. He knows how to pull that off. Yeah, like I feel, yeah, like Robert De Niro is so dynamic in the what roles he can play.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's done like in his earlier years he did, Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. He's been an athlete. He's been, this psychopath who drives taxis for a living. He's done
Yep.
King of Comedy, which is also kind of like the Joker role, kind of
Exactly.
like that. What's the Joker's name again?
Arthur
Arthur
Fleck.
Fleck. Arthur
Yeah.
Fleck. Yeah, it's kind of like that type of character where he's just, he doesn't seem like a well, yes, of course he seems like a psychopath, but like it's not as evident like Arthur Fleck. But yeah,
Hmm.
De Niro can I and like obviously in his later years, he's kind of like I don't want to say stopped doing these big like Oscar nominating roles, but he's done more like good like fun comedies like
Yeah. I
what is
think
it
it's
Dirty Grandpa, like he's done a
yeah.
bunch of
He's done a bunch of
those
grandpa roles. Yeah.
paycheck movies.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. You see that happen with a lot of older actors.
Yeah,
Pacino's the same way.
yeah,
Morgan Freeman, I feel like even him he is like kind of chosen some roles that are specific to
yeah,
obviously old people. Like it's not like
yeah,
whereas like it's just I think it just you get to a point where you just like it's acting. You love if you love acting, you'll do whatever role you'll
yeah.
want to do. In which these guys, you obviously De Niro has a passion for acting. Like
Yes.
he loves doing it no matter what. He'll take whatever role. So
Hmm.
it's cool. And him and Scorsese have a great relationship. So
Yeah.
when they make films together, and usually whenever they make a film together, it's good. I can't think of one movie
No.
that Scorsese and De Niro have done where it's bad. Like it's hasn't been
Yeah.
in my like top like 50 list of all time or something like
Yeah.
that.
One that's like I wouldn't, it's I some people might think it's great, but like I was mentioning this yesterday to you is the Irishman. I
Mm,
thought it's just the ideas there. I love the story. Like the story is great, but it's just too long.
yeah.
Like I can't watch 3.5 hours of a movie in a
Yeah.
row. Like I gotta like, take a break or
Yeah.
something, like an intermission. Like just give me 10, 15 minutes and then I can go back. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I can't like that was just too long for me. And it was just very slow pacing and complete opposite of Goodfellas, really. Like
Interesting.
just yeah, like very because Goodfellas is very fast cut. Like the editing is like very very fast and
Hmm.
sharp, but the Irishman's a little more slower, and you trying to get to know the characters a bit more, and there's more development there. But yeah, like I love like the story. Like I like it. I like the Irishman, but I just don't. I can't put it on the level of like the other movies he's made,
Yeah.
like Wolf
Yeah.
of Wall Street, where it's just fast paced and just
Yeah.
all over the place. Like Irishman's just very slow and you know just sticking to the one storyline and
Yeah.
just going from there.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about I want to talk about the art direction and how immersive this
Hmm.
film is. I feel this is like compared to compared to Star Wars or so any superhero film where it's the main importance of that film is to be immersed into that world. Like
Yep.
Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, those films they want to immerse you. And I think Goodfellas does that even better. Like
Yep.
there is a point in this movie where I would just love to be like a fly on the wall watching these characters interact. I
Yep.
would like to be there in the 1950s and the 1960s when this actually
Yes.
happened, and then I'd also like to be there during the. I'd also like to be there in 1989 or 90 when they were filming this movie and how
Yes.
that looked. I feel like that would be just a dream to do that. Like
Yeah.
go back
I
in
kind of
time.
want to I kind of want to like bring in like not it's not a personal story, but I just got like a connection to like the way like especially the 50s and 60s. Like my my mom's side is Croatian,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
they're like, Italy, like the Italian and like Croatian, I feel um vibe is kind of like the same, but not like obviously there's different,
Yeah.
little bits here and there that are different, but I feel like the same vibe is there. So like whenever I go to like my like a family function or at my baka or like my grandma's house, it's like it's kind of like that same vibe of like remember like the one scene of where they're all sitting outside talking with they got the table filled with sandwiches and they can
Yeah.
make their own
Oh, I love
sandwiches and
that. Yeah.
stuff with the yeah like that and the wine and the scotch and like the bread like all the alcohol and stuff like
Hmm.
I got that same vibe
Hmm.
from when I was when I well not when I was younger but whenever I go to my Croatian family members places and it's just that same vibe especially in the summer.
Yeah.
Of course excluding oh yeah you want to go yeah
No. I was just gonna say
okay
it's because I bet the reason why you probably again relate to that is because of
yeah
your own family. It's like
yeah
it's you are able to like look at that and feel that same feeling that you felt
yeah
during your with your family, and so that's why I think people can relate to this too, because there are
hmm
aspects of people's lives, having those big family gatherings. Any like Italian, I guess, can not to stereotype Italians, but they can probably
hmm
relate to having those big family gatherings and big
yeah
family meals that you all have. And that's just a
hmm
part of it. And I think that's where
yeah
Scorsese, as an observer, I don't know if you know, when he was a kid, he had like very bad asthma. And so
okay
it caused him to not be able to like play in with kids on the
hmm
streets. So he just observed. And so that
yeah
was kind of what got him into directing and wanting to make
hmm
films. And so that's kind of where he gets that perspective. He probably observed
right
this too when living in, I think Queens or Brooklyn. I'm not somewhere in
hmm
New York he lived in.
hmm
And so I think he does an awesome job at immersing you into the film, whether
yeah
it's the interior design of the houses, of the Copacabana and
yeah
the Baboon Lounge or what's
bamboo yeah
bamboo lounge, like that. I think the design for that, like the red light, like they have like the red
yeah
and they use like the design is it's like some Hawaiian like 1950s lounge when they're hanging out
yeah
there. I think that's so cool. It's so unique.
Mhm.
You don't see that often, and it has its own style. The interior of the houses is like very, very 1950s, 1960s. It's
yeah
fun. It's really, really
yeah
neat, and it's nice to look at too, which
oh
is
yeah
great if you're watching a movie. So
yeah
I think that was like one thing that really stood out to me, which made me want to be a part of the mob. Honestly,
yeah
like
yeah
don't you agree though?
no
Like
I totally agree
there are
like
times when you would like to wear a suit and go to
yeah
like a
like when they're sitting around like they're sitting around playing cards and stuff and like joking around like I just want to be sitting with them and talking to them like just listening to their stories
shooting the
and
shit. Yeah, like
exactly yeah
and yeah, it's also cool. Like, yeah, they're just like they are living the life too. They're making
yeah
tons of money. They're
yeah
making tons of money, and at this point, like they've had this probably for I don't know 20 years. Like Henry Hill's been a part of it for like uh, I think it goes from like the 1950s to the 80s, so like maybe 30 years. But like 20 years of that were all good. Like the
hmm
majority of the time, it's from what it seems in the movie. nothing really bad happens to them where it's like it ruins their life or they have to go to jail. There's a 10-year period where
Hmm.
they does go to jail, but before that, he or 4 years, he gets out in 4 years. But before all that, like a life that they have is just incredible. It's free money basically, a lot of it. I
Yeah.
mean, they are working, but in that work, they're loving it. Like they love just stealing money and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like it's an interesting lifestyle, and Scorsese definitely makes it like he romanticizes it. Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what was I gonna say? It like, I forgot what I was gonna say, but like, yeah, like the set, like the bar, like the bars specifically, like they just seem so like, just so like like not wholesome, but like you feel like you're like like the families all come together. Like after the
Yeah.
Lufthansa heist, you got all like I'd love to be a part of that party.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the
when
after
they're
they
it's
come back
of
after
course it's
the
at Christmas too, so you get
yeah
that like yeah, and then they're playing Frosty the Snowman in the
yeah, it's
back.
just
It's like it's
awesome.
exciting. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I love that scene too, actually. Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's like a classic Christmas songs and like they're all excited
yeah,
and then Robert De Niro's like, "The fuck you doing?
yeah,
What you doing? Take
yeah.
this coat off. Take that
Yeah,
coat off."
Johnny roast beef and
Yeah.
it's under my mother's name. We just got married. Yeah, it's just so good,
Ridiculous.
man. Like
Yeah.
the little characters and like how they interact like with each other. It's just
It's great. Yeah,
unmatched.
it is. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right, and I wanted to touch on. I love this aspect of the film, and something that Scorsese does all the time in a lot of his best movies is the soundtrack and the use of music in
Yes.
his film, as well as the importance of like the steady cam and like the
Yes.
camera movement is just incredible. But the music
Hmm.
specifically, that one scene where the helicopter is above them in the
Yes.
ending, every time he gets in the car, pretty much a new song comes on. It's a new
Yep.
like Rolling Stones, some classic rock.
Yep.
It comes on, and I think it's just so different, so unique, so unorthodox, and
Yep.
I don't know what it is, but I love a good like song in a movie. I think it's so
Yep.
important. Like there's so many great scenes with music in this film. Like it tell me one scene with music that is just so great for this. It
Well,
makes it great.
I was gonna talk about this earlier because its whole I think it's its whole movie in itself is the long shot going to the Copacabana.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene is that might be like top five like scene in movie history, I think.
Yeah.
I
No,
think that's probably the
yeah.
best use of a long shot in any movie and like the steady cam of just
Yeah,
Henry.
following him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry and Karen going downstairs through the basement, going through all the kitchen and the hallways of like all the people and like just how Henry is introducing Karen to this world of power that he has.
Yeah.
He just doesn't go straight through the front door where the whole line is and just show off like oh yeah, I can go through the front door without having to wait in line. He takes her all the way down into the basement, through the hallways, into the kitchen, and then goes into the Copacabana and they have this little table set up for him with the electric light at the bottom and
Yeah.
then like as he looks around, everyone's trying to shake his hand, and he gets a free bottle of champagne or wine or whatever from another table for free. Like it's just the music. Also, yeah, you want to talk about music? Like that song.
It's
I forgot what the song is called.
Then he kissed me. I think
Yes, yeah,
it's
that scene is not without that song. I don't
yeah,
think. If you
no,
put
absolutely.
if you put any other song in that scene, it does. I don't think it works.
Well, I
Like,
think yeah. No, I think the whole entire scene is I think what Scorsese said was the unbroken shot in order to symbolize that Henry's entire life was ahead of him. It's his seduction of Karen and also the lifestyle is that seduces him.
yeah.
It shows the entire scene just shows what that lifestyle is like, little bits and pieces, how he knows everyone, he
Hmm.
sees everyone, and he's showing Karen that like he's respected and well liked. Then he
Hmm.
says, "Oh, I'm in construction." It's like
Yeah.
it's funny. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a
it's
union delegate.
yeah, it's a cool scene. It's a really good scene, and Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna say can say something
Yeah,
else.
like like I was just gonna touch up on like yeah, if you put any other song in there like that I don't think that scene works in the movie. And you're also mentioning the helicopter sequence when he's going all over the place in his car and he's all coked up and everything. He's high
Yeah.
as hell, and then he goes to the hospital, and then the guy's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? You got put a little gave him a little Valium. I don't know what
Yeah.
drug it
Something
was,
like
but yeah,
that.
just to
Yeah.
calm him down a bit. Like, yeah, you're mentioning the music, like Harry Nielsen, you got the Stones, I think the Who was in there, George Harrison.
Yep.
Like it's just like I also did some research myself about this scene. And it's like Scorsese basically made it like switch those songs. So it's like actually like Henry turning the radio dial on in the
Oh, I
car.
see.
So like, because that's what he'd be feeling like, right? Because he's so high out of his mind that he's so finicky that he's changing the
Yeah.
radio
It's just
dial,
changing the
and he's
channel all the
just
time. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's just switching from song to song to song. It's just like the
Yeah.
way like that ending is just
Yeah.
like that sequence
Yeah.
is
I think it's
incredible.
I think it's also part of it's probably yeah, he said that, but probably part of it's also an excuse just to have those awesome songs in there too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there are
yeah.
some great songs in there. And another scene which like another great use of music in this film is it really does elevate it. It makes it that much more of an intense scene and like wow, like they're happy. Like they're living the life is when after the after they do the airport bust, the airport robbery,
Mhm.
they show the shot of the two kids walking up to a car, and then it plays the
Yes,
ending of Layla.
yes,
I love
yep,
that scene so much. I
yes,
think that's like the use of that song in that is so cool, so neat. It
hmm
works perfectly well as they're like it's a song that sort of represents like the excitement of Jimmy as Tommy's getting made finally, and then just like life is good for all of them. He's getting
yep,
money. He's getting money from Pittsburgh, and that's kind of the ending when like everything just slowly goes downhill. Like right
yeah.
after that, after get Tommy gets shot, film goes downhill from there, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, like him just like the piano is just boom, boom, like the piano just works perfectly, and then they just montage all the people that he whacks just
Yeah.
because the links to the heists, like
Mhm.
Frenchie and the other big guy in the garbage disposal, and then you
Yeah.
got Tommy, and then you got Frankie Carbone in the freezer truck, and he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
frozen hanging. It's just so perfectly well orchestrated with the music, and like Layla's one of my favorite rock songs. Like I
Yeah.
feel
It's a
it's
good song.
just it's just like the piano, and then you got the guitar at the beginning. You can't really put the guitar in this scene particularly, but
No, it works well with just the ending. The piano,
yeah,
it's perfect. Yeah. It's
yeah,
perfect. Yeah, no, it's a really great scene. And then okay, so now I want to talk before we get into some questions. I want to quickly touch on uh Henry Hill's and Lorraine's Lorraine Bracco's relationship, or I guess
hmm
Karen's relationship in this film.
yeah.
So I think Karen's another character person that I think she deserved an Oscar. I think she did get an Oscar
Yeah,
nomination.
she got nominated, yeah, but it was a supporting though.
Yeah,
Even
okay,
though
yeah.
she's like a main character, no?
I'd say she's a
She's in it
supporting
for a
character.
long time.
I know she is. She's the leading woman in the film, but I
Yeah,
think like I wouldn't say I wouldn't say she is a leading woman per se for this film. Like maybe because like
but yeah,
I think
that's fair. That's fair.
Henry Hill's like the lead character, so that's why
Yeah.
they did give her that award. I think, but
hmm
yeah, no, I think she's good in this though. She's like I
Yep.
think she's crazy too a little bit. I
Yes.
think
Yes,
she's a
she
little
is.
crazy and the relationship is so toxic that they have. She for
Yep.
some reason is just she like doesn't care even though he cheats on her. It is terrible to her, hits her. I think he hits her in one scene, but I'm trying to think. But and she still is attracted to him no matter
Yep.
what and she doesn't care. Like and she likes that, he would put his ass on the line for her and like
Yep.
beat up a guy for her. She likes that, and that's when it starts getting toxic from there, and
Yep.
it's just and she just doesn't even care, and so that's why I think, and she does a great job at like being crazy and like one of my best like lines from Ray Liotta is when he's like, Karen, like he's just like totally just
Yeah.
like, where's the drugs? Where's the money? He's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I threw it down the toilet. I thought they were coming.
You
Yeah,
could have hid it from them,
yeah,
Karen.
yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So
yeah,
yeah.
you go.
No, I was just gonna say it's funny and it's like it's so chaotic and crazy
Yeah.
the relationship that it's entertaining as fuck. It's
Yeah.
so entertaining to watch them interact with each other, even though it's horrible
Yes.
relationship that they have.
Yeah. It's just right from the get-go. Like first time they meet, Henry's, he has to meet with Tootie later on in the day.
Yeah,
It's like just looking at the time, just wanting to get the hell out of there, and he just takes her home, and then he's just out of there. Like
yeah,
right from the get-go. He doesn't even like her right away. It's up until when he misses the second date, and then she drives up to the pizza place where
yeah,
Tootie works,
yeah.
and they're all hanging out outside, and like she's just going off at him. Like that's when they started to pick off the relationship starts to go off, and
The only reason their relationship really begins is because she was like he was attracted that she was like
yeah,
so furious and angry, which is not
yeah,
always a good start to and she's attracted to
no,
him because she's almost jealous that he showed her up. And so
yeah,
she's like, oh my God, all right, I'm gonna date him even harder. It's like it's kind
yeah,
of like that. And like when she gets cheated on again,
yeah,
she's like, why should I let another woman take what's mine? Like that's sort of
yeah,
the ownership. It's toxic. It's not a good beginning to the relationship, even
no,
though yeah, it's as much as they did love each other at the beginning of that the relationship, kind of know that they're not good together, not great together. They both
no.
live very different lives, but
Like
it's yeah,
yeah, like what's it called? There's one scene where I think it was when I forgot what it was, but I think it was when she's on top of him, and then she's holding the gun right at his face,
yeah,
right? Remember that? And then
yeah,
and then he's like, and then he leaves, and then Paulie and Jimmy, they're all in his Gumar's like place, the little apartment, and then
yeah,
he's like, you gotta leave Janice or whatever her name was, his side piece, but like
yeah.
he's
No,
like,
it is.
you gotta leave her, and like you gotta go back to Karen because she's like one funny line. I forgot what it was. I forgot, it was either Jimmy or Polly, but they said like she's gonna kill you, but she's not gonna divorce you, right? She's
Yeah,
not she's not gonna leave you, but she
yeah,
might kill you, but because she doesn't want to.
yeah. Well,
Like what
yeah,
is she gonna do if she leaves him?
yeah.
Because
Well,
that life is like money wise, like that's the only way she's living, right?
yeah, and well, she's also she's totally unhinged too. And so I think one of the other problems is like they don't want to have to deal with a girl like that's just crazy and wild because
Yeah,
no, who knows what she's gonna tell people, say they break up, she's super mad at him. She's just gonna go to the police or something like that and tell them all the stuff that's going on, have evidence and everything like that. So that's kind of
yeah,
another reason why they're probably worried about her too,
yeah,
with like, how he's treating her. It's
yeah.
crazy. What else? All right. So, um, one quick thing before we get into questions. So,
Hmm.
plot. I want to talk about the plot and how
Okay.
there's really no plot in this film. Basically, it's
No.
like if you can agree, there's certain elements of like that motivate or move the story and progress the
Yeah.
story, like the airport where they're stealing the money from the airport,
Hmm.
and I guess with Maurice or Morris with like that whole thing that goes
Yeah.
on. Billy Bats is another scene that kind of drives the
Yeah.
film further. Henry or what's his name? Tommy getting killed. There's little bits
Yeah.
that just develop the story.
Yeah.
But I think Scorsese said that like The Departed was his first film that actually had a plot. That was the first film he made
Yes.
that actually had a
Yes.
plot. Because all of his other films are just
Yeah.
about characters.
They're just following a character. It's not really like a set a set story. It's
But
just
that's
like
interesting.
you're following. Yeah.
That's super interesting though. It's
Yep.
it's totally it's totally different. It's unconventional to what
Yep.
most films how most films are made. And it's a cool story and plot because it's just an immersive story into the life of a gangster. It's like the
Yep.
stereotypical life of a gangster. Like any gangster film that you see has taken so many elements from this movie. You have to
Mm.
say, like, in since
Yes.
1990. And but like it is like the ultimate gangster film. Would you not
Yep.
agree? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I also wanted to,
Godfather could be up there too.
yeah, Scott. Yeah, Godfather. I think is more. I think it's more centered around like like family and
Yeah.
like the relationship you have with them. But yeah, like this movie, I think is just the perfect mafia movie. It's so fast paced, like the mafia. Like 1 minute you're killing someone, the next one you're getting whacked yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, and like one thing I want to touch up is the influence that this movie had, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've watched The Sopranos, the TV show.
I've seen a couple episodes. Yeah.
So David Chase, who's the creator of the show, he took a lot of influence off of this
Oh, I can
movie.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, he like little bits of scenes here and there. I'm just trying to find my notes here about it. Yeah, like the influence that like I don't know because you haven't seen it, but there's a lot of there's a lot of actors from Goodfellas that are in The Sopranos.
Yep.
So Karen is like the
Lorraine Bronco. Yeah.
she's the social worker to the main character, to James Gandolfini's character,
Yep.
Tony Soprano. Um, Spider, he's
Yep.
like one of the main characters in Sopranos. Chris
Christopher.
Moltisanti, yeah,
Yeah.
Moltisanti.
Yep.
There's a lot of like Billy Batts. He's also in Sopranos as well. He's one of the second in command to one of the mob bosses in it.
Yep.
Phil Leotardo. There's a lot of little characters like Tony Stacks. You kind of see his face a lot in the beginning of the
Yep.
film. Yeah, he's in it. He's Paulie, one of the main characters, and then there's like that little scene where they're introducing all the people part of the gang, like
Yeah.
Jimmy Two Times and
Yeah.
Frankie the Wop and Antonio Stabile. Like Frankie the Wop, he's like I forgot what he says. I forgot what he says. He says, I wrote down all the names of those guys that were named off in that
Yeah.
scene. And probably one of the best ones is uh Frankie the Wop. He's like, "You staying out of trouble?" Staying out that guy, he's in also in the Sopranos as well. So
Oh, nice.
a lot of inspiration from
Interesting.
Goodfellas that have gone into making the Sopranos, which is arguably one of the best TV shows ever made.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've watched most of it. I think I got 10 episodes left. But yeah, I think that show has taken so much from Goodfellas and how Scorsese has like obviously influenced the future directors or future filmmakers like us, or like just like people who are just starting to get into the film industry right now that are making like big budget movies that are trying to take inspiration.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
I think that's why Scorsese, hot take, but I think Scorsese is the best director of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's your opinion, but I got like I got Tarantino and Kubrick and Spielberg. They're like right there,
Yeah.
like this close. But I just think Scorsese's longevity. He's been in this business. He's been in the film industry for so long. He's made so many bangers, like consistently too. Like I think,
Well, all four of those directors have like how many, like they probably made maybe like one or two bad films like in their career.
yeah,
Like they're the most consistent directors you're talking
yeah.
about. Scorsese,
Like
yeah.
Tarantino, I don't personally like all of his major films. I don't think he's made one bad movie.
I don't think he's made a film under like 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, like a
No,
Rotten film before. Not that Rotten Tomatoes should
no,
have.
I don't believe in Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, they've got a lot of bullshit takes, but
Yes,
like,
yeah,
yeah, but like, still, he's no Scorsese. I can't think of. No, there's not one film I don't think that's like has a score under 60% either, though. Like, yeah, no,
yeah,
he's again a great director. But
yeah,
yeah, no, yeah, no, it's a very good point. So I think best directors. Ooh,
yeah.
it's a
What's your
tough.
opinion? Who's your
Uh
favorite director of all time? I know it's a tough one.
I'm a big I'm a big Spielberg fan, but I'd
Yeah.
probably maybe Kubrick.
Okay. Yeah.
I love a lot of his films. Like
Yeah.
I think yeah, most of his movies are awesome. Very influential on me. Like made me look at movies differently. Clockwork Orange, man,
Yeah.
2001. Some of
Oh yeah.
those
Yeah.
awesome movies. But yeah, all right. So, but I got some questions for you though. I got some
All right.
questions to ask. So,
Go into it.
what is the best scene in the film? What is the best scene in the film? You think?
I got it. I want to combine. It's kind of like it's not really a scene, but it's like the Billy Bats situation, and
Okay,
then leading into when they go to Tommy's mom's house. That little section is
just the three of
unmatched.
them, just the three of them bouncing back off each other. Three
Yep.
great actors. Just
Yep.
like people don't realize that. That's like three of the best actors from like the 80s and 90s. Like especially for that sort of genre.
Yeah.
Like go bouncing back and forth. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd have to say though for mine, it'd probably be the helicopter scene. That entire scene
Yep.
is so paranoid. Like, is you feel the paranoia that he has.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The narration. I got to go pick up my kid brother Michael from the
Yeah.
hospital. Then I got
Yeah.
to go get the babysitter the money. I got to go talk
Yeah.
to my Pittsburgh people.
Yeah.
Got to go to Jimmy's house and get him. He's got a bunch of silencers like
Yeah.
that. I need to get. Yeah, that whole scene. Then like yeah, I got to get my lucky hat. A
Yeah.
hat? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so
I
stupid.
totally
Yeah,
agree with you. That's probably my second pick. That one
yeah,
right there. Like
yeah,
what? Like I just want to add to my point. Like about the Tommy's mom scene. I think like that. There's some amazing quotes and like
yeah.
some great moments in that. And I don't know if you know that, but Tommy's mom is Scorsese's
Oh
mom
yeah,
in
I
real
know
life.
that. Yeah,
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 well, yeah, obviously you know that, but like yeah, I don't know if anyone knows who's watching, but Scorsese, he puts his parents
yeah.
in basically every movie he makes.
And
So
He's Scorsese's dad in
yeah,
that too.
he's the one in the when they kill Tommy in the room. Like
Yeah,
he's there and yeah, like
and in prison
and
too.
couldn't do
He's
nothing about it. Couldn't
yeah,
do nothing about it. And
yeah. It
yes,
didn't work
they're
out. Yeah,
great. They're great in the movie. He's like, and that Scorsese's mom is the best though. He's like, can you settle down now? You got get a nice girl so you can settle down. And then when
yeah.
she shows the painting, one dog goes one way, the other dog goes the other way. And then and the guy says, "What do you want from me?" Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just so it's
yeah.
so good.
Well, a
Like
lot of that's
that's
improvised. A lot of that scene is totally
yeah
improvised. Yeah.
yeah
So and like I love that. Yeah, he's like, oh, looks like somebody I know. What the
yeah yeah
fuck? That is uncanny. He's
yeah.
got mice the beard. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
oh, so
and then you got like De Niro and Pesci's characters. They're just like they're so calm in this scene after they just beat up Billy Bats and he's sitting in the trunk of the car just outside the house. And then you got Henry who's just panicking. He's just silent the whole time. He's like because
yeah.
he's probably never seen this like type of
No, yeah,
violence, and especially he probably knows Billy's a made guy, so he can't like you can't kill a made guy.
yeah,
So he's like probably stressing like what's gonna happen to us in the
yeah,
long run. He's probably thinking like, holy shit, we could be dead soon because we
yeah,
just killed a made guy who just got out of prison, which
yeah,
is also even worse because he just got out and he's like
yeah,
now he's free. So he's all his friends and family are trying to look for him and
yeah,
they had to get revenge in the long run, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's true. I don't know if you knew, but Billy Bats is he's part of the Gotti family.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
so
Yeah. I think I
because
heard that
there's
before.
this entire thing like they're so it's like the Lucic like Lucici family. That's the
Okay.
family that Paul Sorvino's character is a part of. It's like out
Okay.
of there's five families in that
Right.
sort of in New York in that
Yeah.
area where and so they're part of the one that Paulie's a part of, and then
Yeah.
they're kind of friends with Billy Bats, who is a made
Yeah.
man in the one of Gotti's guys.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's like kind of you see how they're kind of at the same time enemies. So you kill one made guy, oh, you're in trouble, man.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Okay, so who was your favorite character and slash best performance in the film?
Okay. Character, I it's kind of a underrated one, but just because of like she's in it for very little and she just has some of the best lines. I think Scorsese's mom. I
No,
know it's a
no,
little off the
yeah,
record. Like you'd probably say, you guys say Pesci or Liotta or De Niro, but like just I straight character, I think Scorsese's mom is just the best because whenever she's in a scene, she's just has the best lines and like it just feels like you're talking to your mom.
yeah.
It's just so realistic to her character that
Mhm.
it can't go unnoticed.
Well, I
But
feel, yeah,
I say best performance though. I think it's got to go Liotta
yeah,
because even though Pesci won the Oscar, I think Liotta for sure deserved a nomination at least for that performance because
yeah,
he's the main character. He wasn't in many big roles before this movie, and then he just comes out here and just puts on an incredible performance, just all out, just flying on all cylinders, firing all cylinders, just acting his ass off in this movie. And you have
yeah,
to, if you have to because you're the main character, and he probably wanted to, go off in this movie because he hasn't had many roles. So this movie would kind of bring him that step up, I think, and get him more roles. But obviously that didn't really happen for him, which I felt bad. Rest in peace, Ray Liotta. Just
yeah.
really quickly.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah,
Yeah, and Leota is just so incredible. Like he's the driving force. He's got to be that big character like Henry Hill is. He has got to be that that absolute asshole sometimes. And
yeah,
he's also like a funny guy. He has to be funny and an asshole at
yeah,
the same time, and he pulls it off like very well. So I got to give it to him.
yeah. I'd say for me, the best character, I like Polly a lot.
Yeah, he's good.
He's he's uh he's really good. He's got the big presence, he everyone, he didn't have to move for anyone,
Yeah.
like that's
Paul
and
Paul might have moved slow, but that's because he didn't have to move for anybody.
yeah,
That's why.
exactly. He has that big presence that, and you're around him, you have respect for him and fear at the same time.
Hmm.
Fear is what drives the loyalty, straight out
Yep.
of The Godfather.
Yep.
Uh
Exactly.
and yeah, so it's cool. I think he's the best. I think he's a really good character. And then best performance, and I'm a sucker for De Niro. I'd say
Yeah.
I'd give him, like, he's so smooth in it. Like, he's just
Yeah.
natural, so natural. Like,
Yep.
it flows so well in this movie. He just slides in there. You don't even feel like it's De Niro. It's Jimmy Conway.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, like the
Um,
one particularly to add on to your point,
yeah,
the little snippet of when they play Sunshine of Your Love, Cream, and he's just at the bar,
yeah,
when he's at the bar smoking the dart, and he's just staring down at Maury. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy." Like it's
yeah.
just
Oh,
that he's
absolutely.
he's gonna kill him. It's just that's probably that that moment that might be one of the most cool and badass looking characters
Yeah, smoking a cigarette.
in the last 40 years. Just him
Yeah,
just smoking the cigarette, just with the
yeah,
music in the background, just everything just slowly zooming in on him as he's just staring down past the camera. It's just incredible. It's
it's
just
totally badass.
so good. It just works on every level. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah. All right. What's the next one I have here? Okay. What is the best line in this movie? Favorite line
The
in this
best
film?
line. Oof,
Yeah.
that is a tough one. I wrote down some quotes so I gotta think
Yeah.
about
Go
this
ahead.
one.
Just yeah.
Yeah. There's it's I honorable mention. I gotta go first line. As far as back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Just
Yeah.
the start of, and it's just the contradiction of that, like the contrast of like how they open the trunk, they just start and Tommy just starts stabbing bats, and then you got De Niro just fucking putting lead into him, and then after that he closed the trunk and he says, as far as that can be, like that's just it's a crazy start to a movie. And then and after you say that, like after what happens in the scene, it's just like, why the fuck would you want to be a gangster? You're just killing
Yeah.
people in trunks of cars, and it's just like, why?
Yeah.
But I'd say line of the movie is um I'd say when there's God, I don't know. It's there's so many quotable lines in this movie that you could say to your friends. And then I'd say Billy Bats when he says, "Now go home and get your fucking shine box." Like that's
Yeah,
just iconic. And and then he's like at the end when Tommy leaves, like, you feel
yeah,
strong. Like it's so good. Like Frank
yeah,
Vincent is great. The actor, he's great in the movie.
yeah.
I'd say that's my favorite line. And whenever it comes up, I always gotta yell it out.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I was gonna say I'm trying to think of mine. One of my favorite lines. It's either I like when De Niro's like, you upset him a little, just a little, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's like, Um, no, that one's been used a lot. Let's see. There's a couple good ones. Uh, oh yeah. Um, Never rat on your friends and always
yeah,
keep your mouth shut. That's
yeah,
probably my favorite line
yeah,
because it has so much weight to it too. Because of there's the juxtaposition of when he's in court and he doesn't say anything, but then the last scene, one of the last scenes of the film, is when he actually
yep,
rats on Jimmy and he rats on Paulie, and it
yep. The
just goes to
irony.
show that he's a rat. The irony of that,
Yeah,
it's a very 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 good line. There's subtext into it, and it's cool. And then obviously jokes line that I like is one dog looks one way, one dog goes the
yep,
other. I like it. Yeah.
yep. That's great.
Yeah.
And the guy
That's
says, "What do you want from me?
yeah.
What do you
And
want
then
from me?"
yeah. And then there was what's the other one? I have one right here by Henry. And then there was Jimmy Two Times, who got that
Yep,
nickname because he said everything twice. Like,
yep,
I'm gonna go get the papers.
yep. Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Very some great lines. But yeah, trying to think of what else. I got another question here before
Okay.
you give me a sec. Um, when do you think the film and the characters slowly go downhill? We touched on it a little bit, but do you think
Okay.
definitely a time when it happens? When do you think that happens in the film?
Slowly go downhill.
Like when things like there's that cutoff when like in between the movie when it's like there's a couple of movies like that.
Yeah,
Like Boogie Nights is similar where as soon as 1980 hits in Boogie Nights, I don't know if you've seen Boogie Nights.
yeah. I have. Yeah,
Yes, in 1980 when like they have that 1980 New Year celebration, everything goes downhill from there. That's
yeah.
when it happens. There's like that one cutoff. And then in I think in Goodfellas there's one. But when do you think?
Um, I don't know. That's also a tough one. Um, I think maybe just when they have when Tommy, no, not Tommy. When when they're at Paulie's house in the backyard, or is it the backyard? Yes, it is the backyard. Yeah. When Henry just gets out of jail, I think. And then they're in Paulie's backyard. Both of them are talking together. And they're like, you better not be dealing with coke and shit. Like
Oh yeah.
you better not do that, or else I'm not gonna be your partner anymore. I'm not gonna deal with you anymore, like with like being your friend, right? Or being your mentor. I'm not gonna give you any money. I'm not gonna help you out. This is like your last straw, because he got caught obviously for that, right? So, and then, or not did he get caught for that? I can't remember.
Yes, he
I can't
does.
remember. Yeah,
With
so
the
he gets
drugs, yes, yeah. Because he lied to
yeah,
him
I think
again.
yeah, I think like when they're in the backyard and then they just talk, they're like talking to each other, like, you better not do that again, or else I'm not gonna, this is your last time. Or else I'm not gonna give you any money. I'm not gonna help you out in the long run. Like, this is it for you. And then of course he obviously keeps doing it. He deals with the hard drugs. And then at the very end, you see him at the diner or the restaurant with Paulie in the background making sausages. And then he's like, and then Leota's character, he's like, I know I fucked up. Like, I know I shouldn't have lied to you. And then yeah, and then he just gives him the $3,200 and then he just leaves. It's
Yeah,
just like that. Um I think after Hill like, yeah, has that conversation, I think everything goes downhill, because then after that he starts with the hard drugs. He keeps going with it, and then Tommy dies eventually, and then it just keeps going and going and going. And then I think when it ends, that downhill ends, is when they have, and is when the Paulie and Liotta's character meet. He'll meet in the diner, gives him the money, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So I think that at that point it just goes declines right there.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I also think I think when Tommy dies is when everything goes downhill.
Okay.
Once after that, because after that, Tommy dies, and then it cuts to like 1980, and he's doing all the
Yep.
drugs and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
yeah, just things slowly go downhill from there. It's you can argue maybe before slightly. Not I would no, I would say that you're right. It's in the 1980s when everything slowly goes downhill.
Yeah,
They've all got the gray hair, like De Niro
yeah,
and Paulie all have like white
yeah.
hair at that point. Yeah,
I'd say another thing. I think I think I kind of switch. I think I'm going to switch my point here. I think it actually ends. I think it starts to go downhill when they kill Billy Bats.
mm,
I think after that, because that's kind of like in the middle of the movie. You think, right?
yeah,
Like you think like it's just after they kill him, everything goes downhill. And then they're at Paulie's house, and he's like, "Did you know what happened to Billy Bats? Because they're looking for him. They're looking for what's happening to him." And then they just like, I don't know. And then everything goes downhill from there.
yeah,
I think that's when everything just starts to. And then they have the Latanza heist after that, but
yeah,
that and then it just goes. That could be another turning point too. The Lufthansa heist. That could be another point where
yeah,
it goes downhill. There's a lot of a lot of different turning points in this movie where it
yeah,
just goes. There's a lot of declining moments, and that's why I think with Scorsese's movies, that's a theme with his movies. You start off on a high, you get introduced into the what's
yeah.
good about this, and then you go straight down, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street,
Wolf of Wall Street's
where
very similar. It's a
yeah,
very
where
those films are very similar. I don't know if you
yes,
like revolving around a character, horrible relationship with his wife, gets a
yeah,
lot of money, but he's in a business that's like where he's doing it illegally
yeah,
and gets caught by the cops, goes to jail, lives a life like a schmuck because he can't
yeah,
even party anymore. He can't do drugs. He can't live a
yeah,
life where that he wants to live, but he can
yeah,
still live. It's very similar. It's
yeah,
very similar plot. Still very good though. You got
yes.
DiCaprio, and
Oh,
you got the dying Margot Robbie in that movie.
oh
Ooh.
God.
And
Don't even
comedic
get me
genius,
started. Don't
and
even get me
com-
started.
and comedic genius Jonah Hill. You
Yeah.
can't get much better than that. Yeah.
Yeah, the savior of Kanye, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true. All right. Before we end it off, I got a little bit of trivia to have, and then then we'll have
Okay.
closing remarks, I guess. All right. So, in the real Goodfella, a film which aired in the UK, Henry Hill claimed that Robert De Niro would phone him 7 to 8 times a day to discuss certain things about the Jimmy's character, such as how Jimmy would hold a cigarette. I don't know if you knew that. And then Ray Liotta's
Hmm.
mother died of cancer during filming. Liotta says
Oh,
that
really?
he used his anger
Hmm.
over losing his mother for certain scenes, like the pistol whipping scene in particular.
Mm-hmm.
According to Ray Liotta, Martin Scorsese was so involved in every detail of the cast's wardrobe that the tie, uh, just one sec, that he tied Liotta's tie himself to make sure it was accurate
Hmm.
for the film setting. So it's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Martin Scorsese reportedly didn't want even Ray Liotta to have contact with the real Henry Hill before filming because he had never directed Liotta before and didn't want Hill to influence Liotta.
Huh.
Um, see the painting.
Usually in true story movies, you gotta at least if they're still alive, you want to get some
Yeah, but I get
influence.
Hill's the actual real Henry Hill's also a crazy guy too.
Yeah.
He's a lunatic. I know.
Yeah.
I've heard that he died not that long ago, actually a couple of years ago. But he was
Mm-hmm.
on. I don't know if you know. He was on Howard Stern a ton. Like he used to go on
Oh
Howard
yeah.
Stern all the time and
Okay.
talk about it. Yeah. The painting that Joe Pesci's character's mother brings out was actually
Mm-hmm.
painted by wise guy author, which the Goodfellas is based off. Called
Oh, Nick Pileggi.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Off his mother's. And then the dinner scene with Tommy's mother was also almost completely improvised, including Tommy asking his mother if he could borrow her butcher's
Yeah.
knife in Jimmy's hook comment. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, in the DVD commentary, Henry Hill said that he still had nightmares. This is the last one. Had nightmares about when he and Tommy and Jimmy murdered Billy Bats. I can
Wow.
imagine, man. Yeah, still got nightmares from that.
Yeah,
But yeah. So yeah,
I
that's
would too.
I would
That's a very
yeah.
intense scene.
I guess not for them, yeah. I guess not for like Jimmy and Tommy. I guess they've done it killed enough, so it doesn't even
Yeah.
matter. But yeah, any other closing thoughts? Any other thoughts you have on the film? Any
Um,
notes?
I again, one little thing that I also liked about the movie very much is the credits, like the opening credits. I
Yes.
think that also sets the tone for the movie. Saul Bass,
Yep.
famous graphics person in the film industry for,
Yeah.
like Alfred Hitchcock movies in the
Yep.
past he's done. And I feel like this was Saul Bass's kind of revival of his career because I researched this, he was off a bit in the set, like in the 80s, and then he got revived for this film. I think a film before that as well. And yeah, it just sets the tone for the movie. Like it's, you hear the car sounds in the background and they're moving, the names are moving fast paced on the screen. It's just, it kind of sets the tone for what's about to happen
Yeah.
in the film.
I don't
So I
think
think
this.
that's another great
Yeah.
thing about it.
Yeah. I don't think there's an actual score for this film.
No, I don't think so. No, I'm
Like
trying to think of
most
a
of it,
moment where they've,
I think it's all. No, I don't think there is. I think it's all just music. It's like but the opening scene is great though too, because you're talking about like the opening credits. Like "Rags to Riches" is such a great song by Tony
yes,
Bennett.
perfect,
Boom, boom,
perfect.
boom, boom, boom. Like yeah,
Yeah.
just intro. So cool, so iconic. But yeah, there's so many great scenes. Oh, one of my other favorite lines I wanted to just say is when Henry Hill's beating up the neighbor in front of
Yeah.
and there's the guy holding the Coca-Cola and he goes,
Yeah, he's just there.
"Don't shoot."
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
I
Yeah,
thought that was like
yeah,
most I
yeah,
said I wrote down "don't shoot." So pathetic. He just sounded so pathetic. He sounded like just a total
yeah,
loser. And he's
yeah,
"Don't shoot, don't
yeah,
shoot." Watch
yeah,
it again. Like he's like totally like look
yeah.
gives it's so funny.
I also have
But
another like
yeah,
nitpick
let's hear. Yeah,
from the movie. It's like when we first get introduced to Jimmy Conway, when they're in that little, I'd say, club or bar or whatever, and he's like, and Henry's like narrating, he's like, couldn't be 28 or 29 at the time. Literally is like a 40-year-old Robert De Niro in the scene. It's just
I
so
know.
funny to me. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like he doesn't look like he's 28 or 29.
yeah.
He looks like
A
a
40 year old.
40-year-old
Yeah, yeah.
Robert De Niro. Yeah,
I
like it
know.
doesn't look like. So I thought that was kind of funny
That's
because
true with
like,
the film. As the film progresses, like Henry doesn't age at all. Like by like 50,
no,
he just looks coked out. That's all it is. It's
yeah,
like, but yeah, I also wrote down one of my favorite like De Niro is when they're kicking Billy Bats. De Niro's
hmm
face is he's
oh
like
yeah,
so into it. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's just
like
going in.
he
Yeah,
is so mad, like, and he does it in such a funny way. Like, whenever they beat people up in this, it's always like when Henry beats up the neighbor, it's like he takes it and he goes, boo,
yeah.
boo,
He's just taking the
boo.
back of the handle of the gun. He's just
Yeah, I know, and he's
rocking
pistol
him.
whips him. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like, yeah, and then you get a little bit of Joe Pesci from Home Alone when he's stabbing Billy Bats. He's like,
yeah, yeah.
totally. Yeah, those are just like some of the goofs I had about the film that I thought was
Yeah.
pretty funny. And but yeah, and also when Maurice's wig falls off, as like they just show
Yes,
this
that's great.
when
Yeah.
this just the scene before they have the commercial where it's like this wig will never come off your head,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then
I
right
love that
away
too.
he's choking him out and
Yeah.
his wig comes off. It's
Yeah.
such a cool scene.
Another thing
Yeah.
I also want to bring up is Samuel Jackson's in it. He's in it for
Yeah.
like a couple scenes.
The only black guy in this film, and he gets killed
Yeah,
like
Stacks. Yeah,
2 minutes
skilled
in.
and
Yeah.
like Stacks Edwards. Like he's
Ah,
another good thing about this movie. He's obviously was in Do the Right Thing a year before this, and
yeah,
this
but
was
that
when he kind
was
of started to get into acting and was a menace to society and
yeah.
obviously Pulp Fiction and other Tarantino movies and
No,
obviously came with
you know what
his
I,
actors.
I think his biggest role that like at the time was Jurassic Park is like what kind of made
Oh,
him
that's
like
right. Yeah,
has way more
that's right.
acting in that. Cover your butts, like that's like one of his best lines. Chain smoking cigarettes and that like
Yeah,
that's totally like Sam Jackson's like first big role, I feel, or like speaking role. He actually got to
Yes.
know him. But yeah, no, but totally. I think that pretty much sums it up for the notes I have. Any other things?
I got a lot of little notes here. The end where they're in that little meeting with the lawyer, the
Yeah.
actor Edward A. McDonald, that's actually the
Yep.
lawyer that spoke to Henry Hill when he was in
Yeah.
that little meeting, which was
I heard that.
also kind
Yeah.
of cool that I mentioned there. One little film technique thing that I'm a film nerd, so whenever I like the use of the freeze frame. I
Yep.
like that a lot. I
Lots of freeze
personally
frames in
I
this
feel
film.
it's yeah, I think it I think it's a kind of a weird thing to add into a film, but I think Scorsese pulls it off.
Yeah.
Like I think what he tried to do with that, with the freeze frame, was to basically imply that something significant was going to happen during or after the scene in the moment. Like the first shot of Henry, like when he closed the door and he's just standing there, like he's just frozen on him. It's just like now you're like, all
Mhm.
right, now we're getting started.
Yeah.
After leaving the courtroom, like the mailman getting shoved into the pizza thing, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Uh, um, another research, it was like taken from French New Wave, Jean-Luc Godard, who kind of like I'd say introduced it to filming the freeze frame,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was also a cool little nugget. I like one other scene I kind of liked particularly was the prison dinner scene where you
Yeah.
got Paulie
Yeah.
cutting the garlic with the razor blade, and
Yeah.
you got Vinny making the sauce with too many onions, and you got the what I forgot the other guy's name was, but he's cooking steaks in the fry pan, and
Yep.
then yeah, that's another great little scene that I liked in it. Um, Let me see. I got a lot of I wrote a lot of notes for this because this is one of my favorite movies. So I gotta add some stuff. Some other great quotes I liked. When Spider says, "Go fuck yourself, Tommy," like that. Like we mentioned that earlier. That was great.
Yeah.
Um, like Maury when he's like, when he's that little scene of where he's like, I want my fucking money, and then and then he sings to, and he's like, sweetheart, half Mick, half Guinea. He
Yeah.
says to Henry, which was kind of
Yep.
funny. I like that. When Tommy's leaving to go to when he's getting made or when he's dying, he's like to his mom. Last thing he says to his mom, "Don't paint any more religious pictures,
Yeah.
please." Yeah, that was kind of funny. Um, yeah, there's a lot of great lines. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, man. Like this
Cool.
movie is just incredible.
It's one of
I
the
could
best movies
watch it
ever
a
made.
thousand.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. It's just got so many little things going on that you won't notice the first time, and you got to keep going back and keep looking
Yeah.
for those
No, yeah,
little
even when I
bits of
watched it last
information.
night, I got little things. There's little things I noticed. Like I was like, damn, it's very cool. It's a very great. It's good that you can watch this movie many times in a row. Like I know I can.
Yeah,
There's only a few movies that I can watch repeat. It's like The Departed, Goodfellas, The Dark Knight, and
yeah,
Moneyball. Like those films,
yeah,
all those films I can just watch whenever. Like
yeah.
they're so good. But yeah, how about you? What are your like? Do you have like give me like three films that you just
Um,
watch on repeat?
Moneyball is another good example. That's one of my favorite sports movies. I'm a big sports guy, so Moneyball. It's completely different from any sports movie I've seen. It goes into the analytics of it. It
Yeah,
goes to the behind the scenes of a baseball team.
yeah,
Like you don't really see that much in sports movies. You more see the player, like the actual players on the team or the coaches and how they're
yeah.
playing. You don't really see that. You don't really see the
Behind the scenes.
behind the scenes. Yeah, exactly. You don't really see that. So I think Moneyball is a good one. Another one I just watched last night, The Social Network, probably one of the best scripts I think ever
Yeah,
made. Aaron Sorkin, just incredible. Jesse Eisenberg, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he played Mark Zuckerberg so well. Andrew Garfield.
yeah,
I'd say probably I'd say probably this first or second Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. I could
yeah,
watch Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock. I could watch that any day of the
yeah.
week. It's
Same,
just
same,
the
same.
action, the character development of Peter Parker from being a loser and then just getting back with Mary Jane at the end. It's
It's
just
great.
amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
there's
so I'd
some
say
very good
Moneyball,
films. All good choices.
Goodfellas, definitely. Probably the second Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire, and then Social Network. Yeah,
There you go.
just great movies.
Great choices. Great
Yeah,
choices. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show, Ryan. Sure,
anytime, man.
I'll have to
Anytime.
have you on again. Yeah, for sure. Definitely do another Scorsese film or another Kubrick film. I don't think I've done
Yeah,
discussed too many Kubrick films or something like that. So, but yeah, no, it's been a great time discussing this film. Thanks. Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Next week we'll have another episode. We got more stuff coming to the channel. Very exciting. So stay tuned and thanks for listening. All right. See you guys.